Hello people, it's Bal Gaming, and today I'm here to show you a video about how to best do research efficiently in the game Call of Dragons. Now, research is one of the most important mechanics in the game. As a city building game, what it enables you to do is improve the power of both your gathering ability, your CP, which allows you to farm Darklings and get value, and also your ability to fight, so your war tech. Now, it's really important to think about how to do research efficiently, as doing it in the wrong order or without the correct number of buffs means that you'll take much longer to progress through the game, and considering some of the biggest researches can be over 100 days in real time, it's very important that you plan out and do your research very efficiently. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what researches you should prioritize early as a new player to the game. So first of all, I would say that as a new player to the game, it's really important to focus on your economy tech as a priority. So yes, T5 troops, T4 troops, they're all nice and shiny and fancy, but in order to actually progress and have long-term growth, you really need to make sure that your economy tech is done well. So when I mean done well, I will say there's a few things that are very important to prioritize and push for at the beginning of the game. The first tech is called Scholarship 1. This gives you a whopping 10% research speed for very little investment. The next thing to focus would be getting to Scholarship 2, which gives you a nice total of 15% research speed as well. Once these two are maxed, this is a really important part where you can then go and start maxing out other researchers, as it enables you to be the most efficient at making research being done. The other really important parts of the economy tree that you want to try and get to as soon as possible, especially in the early to mid game, are these techs over here. So there's a tech called Military Leadership, and there's a tech called Breath Control 2 and Stamina. The most important one here, I would say, would be Stamina 2 and Breath Control 2. I would say Breath Control 2 is really important. It increases your CP recovery speed. So as I said before, CP is the currency you need in order to kill Darklings, kill forts, and it regenerates daily. As you can see over here, my CP speed, I get a full recovery in 13 hours, and 1 CP is recovered every 27 seconds. And you can see this buff here, recovery speed increased by 35%. A portion of this buff is given to you by this tech over here. So this is really important, as it gives you more value cumulatively over time, as having more CP means you can kill more Darklings and kill more forts, which gives you all the resources, all the speed ups and treaties and things that you need to progress in the game. This also enables you to hold a large number of CP, so when you go to sleep, you're not maxing out your CP without using it. And then of course this tech allows you to gain more EXP, as it's very important to level up your commanders during your season, especially because at the start of each season your EXP will reset to some degree. Now, I'll also say it's quite important to work on your gathering tech. So when I say gathering tech, I mean your gold mining speed, your wood gathering speed, your ore gathering speed, your mana gathering speed, and eventually you can also research things like supply chain, which increases the gathering speed of all types of resources, and the other one is also over here, supply chains. Now, why is this? Obviously, resources are a very big bottleneck early in the game. For me, as a mid-game player, I have a lot of resources saved up, okay? And I'm at the point now where resources are no longer a problem. It's more the speed ups that I need in order to progress my very long researches, like 93 days. Whereas in the early game, doing these researches, particularly the economy tree, uses a lot of resources, particularly mana. So making sure that you max and work on these techs for gathering resources early in the game means that you can stockpile all the resources you need to progress efficiently. So after you've done this tech, Scholarship 1, Scholarship 2, and also Architecture 2, which enables you to build faster, work on Breath Control 2 and Military Leadership 2. At this point, you can go and slowly start working on this at the same time, so to make sure you get your T1, your T2, your T3, and later your T4 troops, which is a really good place to stop, especially in the early game. And then towards the mid game, you can start working on the more general techs, which give you much more power in war. Now, I will say, whenever you push tech, if you are thinking of pushing tech or doing a day where you might push 30 to 40 days of research or something like that, it's very important that you have the max buffs. And when I say max buffs, if you go into Hall of Order and you go to research speed, there's a number here which gives you the speed of research that you have at that current point in time, and it's affected by a number of important factors. The first one being technology. So technology is what I discussed before. So that is your Scholarship 1 gives you 10%, Scholarship 2 gives you 15%, for a total of 25% research speed, right? Second buff is your honorary member effect. Luckily for me, I'm membership 15, so I get to have the maximum research speed of 20%, but you can see there are milestones which give you research speed. For example, there's a really important milestone at level 8, which gives you 10% research speed, and the other milestone is at level 12, which gives you 15% research speed. So try and get this happening as fast as you can, increasing your membership level. And of course, the best way to do that is by being in a good alliance. So work hard, be active, and hopefully you can stay in a good alliance. The other key ones are building. So when I say is building, the research speed is increased by the level of your college. So as you can see, from level 1 to level 25, you go from having 0.5% research speed bonus to 25%. So I don't have the maximum as I'm still at 24. There's an extra, 7% that I'm missing. And the other buffs you can get are from behemoths. So some behemoths you capture during the game gives you that. So later in the season, it's better to push as you're more likely to have this buff. Finally, Alliance title, you can ask for the title of Scholar, which gives you 1% research speed. Now, as you can see, the other important thing you must do is try to find a rune. So for example, today we were lucky enough to have a research rune drop that was 15%. This is the maximum. So at level 4, you might get a 10% rune. So if you're pushing big researchers, try and find a 15% rune. So just to let you know in total, and I'll put a screen up right now from one of my friends who plays the game to show the maximum speed you can get. If you manage to get all the buffs, so max membership, max technology, max building buff, behemoth buff, alliance title, as well as a 15% mana stone, and also the max, so level 25 college, giving you 25% research speed. This should give you a total of 88% without the title, and then with the title, it should give you a total of 89%, which is the maximum research speed you can get. So if you're going ahead and pushing big researchers like defensive formations 10, first aid 10, arcane knowledge 10, assault 10, try and make sure you have that 88% speed and check your Hall of Order before you do so. So that's the key things to think about when planning your research. I will also say that the lower levels of these big researches, like defensive formations 1, first aid 1, first aid 2, defensive formations 2, levels 1 to 5, levels 1 to 6, have a very low number of days to pull off the research, which giving you a very big boost in your combat stats. So it'd be a good idea to try and get to these techs and getting it to level 5, even in the early to mid game, as they give you a lot of bang for buck. So a lot of power, a lot of fighting capability with a minimum of speed ups and resources consumed. And the same goes for these initial researchers. So you can see, for example, going from level 3 to 4 is only 22 hours of research, and that gives you a solid 1% attack. Similarly, going from levels 6 to 7, 7 days giving you another 2% attack. These are quite small researchers in the grand scheme of things, considering that going from, levels 9 to 10 of defensive formations takes 93 days after helps with max buffs, for a 9% defense increase. So I hope that helps you plan out your research. Just to recap, make sure in the early to mid game, particularly in the early game, that you max out Scholarship 1, Scholarship 2, and Architecture 2, and Architecture 1, as these are very important for progressing efficiently. Then make sure you max out Breath Control 2, Stamina 2, and Military Leadership 2, and then try and work on your gathering tech so you can gather faster. At the same time, try and work slowly towards getting your T4 units unlocked. And in that way, slowly working towards the T5 of your choice. And I will say it's best to prioritize one T5 initially. Don't spread your research too far. I have a little bit, but make sure that you're trying to work towards your chosen T5 of choice, usually Archer or Mage for most players, and only try to max out the research of that chosen troop type in order to make your push to T5 the most efficient. I hope that helped, and go out and smash your enemies. Peace out.